The grand chamber of the Galactic Council hummed with the typical self-important chatter of 200 distinct species, each one convinced they were the most advanced beings in the universe. The enormous crystalline dome overhead captured the light from 3 suns, casting rainbow shadows over the assembled delegates. At the center of it all sat Ambassador Chen, Earth's representative, looking utterly bored. "We need order," Chen declared, attempting to sound authoritative. Supreme Counselor Zixxit clicked his mandibles in what he probably thought was a commanding manner, but to Chen it sounded more like someone struggling to eat corn with dentures. The Arxon delegates, iridescent wings, fluttered in irritation as the chamber gradually fell silent. "We are here to discuss the ongoing matter of human containment," Zix continued, his compound eyes shifting through various shades of disapproval. The statistics were alarming. A holographic display materialized above the central platform, showing Earth's rapid expansion across the galaxy, trade routes in red, colonial outposts in blue, and military installations in threatening yellow dots. In just 50 standard cycles, humans had established a presence in 17 sectors. The Vexi representative, a gelatinous entity named Blob, or at least that's what Chen called them after struggling to pronounce their actual name, wobbled indignantly. Their influence spreads like a virus. Chen had to bite his cheek to suppress a smirk, thinking if only they knew about the 30 other sectors where humans had unofficially settled. Furthermore, a particularly arrogant centurion named Crix reflected light directly into Chen's eyes, likely on purpose. "They continue to ignore our safety recommendations. Their ships still use those barbaric fusion drives instead of proper quantum-fold engines because they work better," Chen muttered under his breath, earning a disapproving glare from Chen. Centurion Zixa. "All 4 of my upper appendages," Zix announced. "We have drafted a new containment proposal. Humans will be restricted to their home sector. All existing colonies must be abandoned within 10 cycles. Their military vessels will be reduced by 80%, and all trade must be conducted through approved Galactic Council intermediaries." The chamber erupted with approving clicks, whistles, and various other sounds of alien satisfaction. Overbearingness, Chen finally lost his composure and let out a laugh. Not a diplomatic chuckle or a polite giggle, but a full-blown, stomach-clutching laugh that echoed through the chamber. Silence followed as hundreds of alien eyes or sensory organs fixed on the human who dared disrupt their smug superiority. Zix's voice took on a warning tone. "Do you find something amusing about these serious deliberations?" Chen wiped a tear from his eye, still chuckling. "Oh, absolutely. This is hilarious. You lot spent 3 cycles drafting this proposal, didn't you? Probably had committees, subcommittees, working groups, the whole bureaucratic circus. We failed to see the humor." Blob wobbled menacingly. "That's what makes it even funnier." Chen stood up, his smile now sharp enough to cut through battleship armor. "You've all been so busy patting yourselves on the back, or whatever appendages you have, that you missed something rather important. Humans don't need your permission to exist in this galaxy." "That's adorable. These demands are non-negotiable." Zix's crystalline form vibrated slightly. "No," Chen replied firmly, his voice embodying the resilience of a species that had clawed its way up from a death world, survived countless disasters, and reached the stars through sheer determination. "They're not demands. They're wish lists, and Christmas was last month." He gathered his documents, neatly placing them into his briefcase and straightening his tie. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to make a call to Earth. I suggest you all take this time to reconsider your position because, trust me," he paused at the chamber door, "you really don't want to see what happens when humans stop playing nice." "Loud," I shouted, raising my voice over the music. "Now, he's not—" The door clicked shut behind him, leaving the chamber filled with stunned aliens who began to realize they might have made a terrible mistake. In the corridor, Chen pulled out his quantum comm unit and dialed Earth Command. "Command, this is me. They finally did it. Initiate protocol around." The Galactic Council's response to Ambassador Chen's exit was predictably, foolish. Within 24 hours, a peacekeeping fleet of 300 vessels appeared at the edge of the Sol system, their quantum engines humming with self-righteous authority. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the EDF Thop, watching the tactical display with an expression that clearly said, "I'm done with this." The alien vessels arranged themselves in a textbook blockade formation, likely copied straight from some ancient manual written by a species that had never actually fought a war. They broadcasted their demands, but Admiral Rodriguez ignored any mention of the mining colonies they had raided last month, or the merchant ships they had inspected at gunpoint. "No, ma'am, they seem to have forgotten those minor details," she replied. Over the past year, provocations had steadily increased. Safety inspections always found human vessels lacking, trade restrictions were imposed, accidental weapon discharges near civilian stations occurred, and raids on remote colonies intensified. Each time, humanity responded with diplomatic protests and measured restraint, much to the military's frustration. And with that, oddly enough, the military's frustration, Commander Patel interrupted. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command. Orders confirmed. Protocol FAFO is a go." Rodriguez's smile could have scared a shark away. "About damn time. Status of Operation Surprise Party. All assets are in position, Admiral. The Council fleet hasn't detected any of our stealth platforms. Their sensors are still focused on our obvious defensive grid." The alien blockade was impressive in its display but lacked substance. They had prepared to counter Earth's known defenses, orbital platforms, patrol fleets, planetary shield grids, but hadn't anticipated the 2,000 automated combat platforms hidden in the asteroid belt, the quantum mines scattered throughout the system, or the fact that every civilian ship was heavily armed. "Open a channel to the Council fleet," Rodriguez ordered. "Let them have one last chance to straighten up." The alien commander appeared on screen, a praxis with too many eyes and insufficient common sense. "Human vessels, power down your weapons and prepare for—" "No," Rodriguez cut him off. "I have better things to do today than listen to your speech. Here's the deal. You have exactly 5 minutes to exit my system before I demonstrate why disturbing a sleeping bear is a bad idea." "You dare threaten the Galactic Council's peacekeeping force?" the praxis sputtered. "We have 300 ships," Rodriguez grinned. "You have 300 targets. 4 minutes, 30 seconds remaining." The alien commander began an intimidating speech about the Council's authority, but Rodriguez spent the time checking her nails, contemplating a stop by the ship's hydroponics bay for fresh tomatoes. At 2 minutes, she interrupted again. "By the way, you might want to watch your back." I want to watch." The alien's multiple eyes widened as the tactical display lit up with thousands of new contacts. The stealth platforms had decloaked, civilian ships had activated their military-grade weapons, and every asteroid in the belt showed energy signatures. "This is impossible. You can't have hidden this many," the commander stammered. Rodriguez checked her watch. "Funny thing is, we actually wanted peace. All that diplomatic nicety wasn't fake. But you kept pushing and prodding until we stopped playing by your rules. We'll report this to the Council." "Oh, honey," Rodriguez's voice dripped with false sympathy. "Bold of you to assume there's still a council to report to." "Time's up," she declared. The quantum mines activated first, cutting off the alien fleet's retreat. Then, the stealth platforms fired, turning space into a dazzling light show that would make the 4th of July envious. As the Council fleet panicked, Rodriguez opened a channel to Earth Command. "Operation Surprise Party is a go. Time to show these Xenos why you don't mess with a species that turned mutually assured destruction into a game of chicken." While the Council's peacekeeping fleet was in disarray, humanity's true response was already in motion. Operation Enough Already had been planned for years, refined with each new alien provocation. The plan was elegantly simple: strike everything, everywhere, simultaneously. Commander Michael Jung sat in his command chair aboard the stealth carrier EDF Ghost Runner, watching the tactical display as thousands of ships emerged from hidden points across the galaxy. Each vessel bore civilian transponder codes and unremarkable energy signatures, until they didn't. Strike Group Alpha through Delta, you are cleared to fire, Jung announced over the quantum comm. Remember, we're not here to conquer. We're here to make a point. A very loud, very explosive point. The human fleet was divided into specialized task forces with specific missions. Strike Group Alpha targeted military installations, Beta attacked command and control centers, Gamma handled logistics and supply lines, while Delta, led by Captain Amara Akanjo, was the fun group. You won't believe what these idiots have in their databases, downloading their entire banking system. By this time tomorrow, the Council's economy will resemble a modern art interpretation of a dumpster fire, Amara reported over the comm. The aliens had always underestimated human cyber warfare, considering Earth's digital systems primitive compared to their quantum networks. They never realized humanity had cracked their encryption decades ago. Well, it's amazing what you can accomplish when your species spends centuries trying to hack each other. Lieutenant Asan, Amara continued, the Praxi Defense Fleet just surrendered to our maintenance drones. Automated repair units, Young clarified. We seeded them through their territory last month. Someone got creative and programmed them to project holographic images of planet cracker weapons. The Praxi saw it and decided they didn't want to die today. You know what? The Praxi saw it and decided they didn't want to die today. Huh. Young mentally noted to give the engineering department a raise. This was why you never underestimate human creativity, especially when annoyed across the galaxy. Like alien civilizations were learning harsh lessons about humanity. Lesson 1, those primitive fusion drives they mocked were perfect for tactical FTL jumps that superior quantum engines couldn't match. Lesson 2, all those civilian trading posts doubled as secret military bases. Lesson 3, inefficient human manufacturing methods were ideal for producing autonomous combat drones by the millions. Sir, an incoming transmission from the Arksan High Command, Hassan reported. They're requesting clarification on our terms of surrender. We haven't offered any terms yet. They're being proactive, sir, Young replied. Apparently, watching 3 of their fortress worlds get overwhelmed by what they thought were insignificant scows made them rethink their strategies. The tactical display continued to light up as more alien forces discovered the joy of encountering human ingenuity. The Centarians learned their crystalline ships, though beautiful, were ineffective against kinetic weapons. The Vexi found their psychic defenses useless against autonomous AI-controlled systems. The CCS Confederation realized that those dismissed human mining charges could indeed crack a planet's crust. Update from Strike Group Beta, Hassan announced. They've secured the Council's primary communications hub. Commander Patel says, and I quote, "These need password managers badly. They were using their species names followed by 123. Jung pinched the bridge of his nose. Please tell me you're joking." No, sir. The Praxi administrator's password was literally Praxi 123. They thought they could contain us. I'm almost embarrassed for them. A new alert flashed on the tactical display. The Council's emergency response fleet had finally arrived exactly where humanity wanted them. Emerging from quantum space, they found themselves surrounded by automated platforms, weapons already locked on Council vessels. Doug broadcasted on all frequencies. We could destroy you right now, but instead, I'm giving you a choice. Option 1, surrender and live. Option 2, refuse and find out if your species believes in an afterlife. You have 30 seconds. 28 seconds later, the Council fleet powered down their weapons. Message from Earth Command. Phase 1 complete. All primary objectives secured. Casualties minimal. Most alien forces surrendered once they realized we weren't bluffing. Jung exhaled deeply. Send word to all strike groups. Begin Phase 2 consolidation. And somebody get me a coffee. Real coffee, not that synthetic stuff. Reports poured in revealing the true extent of humanity's response. Within 6 hours, they had effectively neutralized the military capabilities of every major power in the Galactic Council, not through sheer force or superior technology, but through preparation, deception, and the creative use of seemingly primitive human ingenuity. Sir, the Council's emergency session is about to begin. Sir, Ambassador Chen is requesting we patch him through on all their displays simultaneously, Hassan reported. He says, and I quote, "It's time for the real negotiations to begin, and I've brought receipts." Jung smiled. The aliens are about to learn the final and most important lesson about humanity. We're actually quite reasonable until we're not. When that changes, when whatever gods you believe in have mercy on your souls, because we certainly won't. In the Council's Emergency Command Center, things were in complete chaos. Supreme Counselor Zix Wings had been twitching for the past hour as reports of human victories flooded every available channel. He clicked his mandibles rapidly in distress. How did they hide all of this? A holographic display revealed the grim reality. Each dot represented a human victory. It wasn't just a military triumph. It showcased capabilities the aliens never thought possible. The Aryans discovered their supposedly invincible quantum shields were ineffective against human-modified mining lasers. The Vexis saw their bioengineered defenses fall asleep after exposure to what appeared to be coffee aromatics. A junior analyst burst into the chamber, panic evident in their crystalline form. The humans, they're in our quantum communication network. The humans, they're in our quantum communication network. Impossible, Zix scoffed. Their crystalline surface showed clear stress fractures. Their primitive binary systems couldn't interface with every screen in the command center, which suddenly displayed the same image, a smiling cartoon human face with sunglasses giving a thumbs up. Below it scrolled, "Your quantum network security, sponsored by Windows 95. In the Praxi defense sector, things were equally disastrous. Their automated defense grid, once the pride of their military technology, had been completely compromised. Instead of protecting their worlds, it now broadcast what humans called Rick Astley songs on all frequencies. Status report on the CCS frontier, Zix demanded, trembling. The aide pulled up the data, then immediately wished they hadn't. The Centurions, once proud warriors sworn to contain the human menace, were now herding their entire battle fleet like space cattle with repurposed garbage collection drones. These drones had somehow magnetized the Centurion ships' hulls, turning their formidable armada into a line of embarrassment. "We're receiving another transmission from the human fleet," the communications officer announced, voice wavering. "They say they're just getting started." As the reports continued to flood in from across the galaxy, it became clear that humanity hadn't just prepared military responses, they had weaponized bureaucracy itself. Every trade agreement, diplomatic treaty, and legal document the Council had ever signed was being meticulously examined by human lawyers, who found loopholes everywhere. They cited subsection 7B of the Galactic Trade Agreement of 2184, a clause about restricted technology transfer that, if read backwards while standing on one's head during a solar eclipse, technically allowed humans to claim any hacked technology as their own intellectual property. The Centurion delegation faced their own crisis. Their entire banking system had been reorganized according to what humans called chaotic good accounting principles. But every attempt to access their funds resulted in mandatory donations to various human charitable causes. They had taken over the entertainment networks, replacing every video feed with human historical documentaries, especially those about successful rebellions against oppressive regimes in the Vexi sectors. Their prized bioengineering facilities reported mass defections of their test subjects. Humans had taught the lab creatures about unions and workers' rights. The result, strike demands for better living conditions, higher quality food, and mandatory belly rubs. A strategic analyst spoke up, voice hollow with realization. "We've been analyzing their attack patterns. It's not random. They're recreating something called Home Alone on a galactic scale." Zix clicked his mandibles in confusion. Zix? Clicked his mandibles in confusion. What is Home Alone? A human entertainment about a child defeating adult intruders with elaborate traps and psychological warfare. They've turned our entire galaxy into one giant booby trap. Before the Supreme Counselor could respond, all the lights in the command center went dark. When they flickered back on, Admiral Rodriguez's face filled every screen. Having fun yet? She asked, grinning like a predator cornering particularly foolish prey. I hope you're all taking notes. This is what happens when you push a species that turned mutual extinction into a game of chicken. We developed multiple doomsday weapons for fun and then decided to play nice because it seemed more interesting. What do you want? Zik managed to ask. Oh, now you want to negotiate after centuries of treating us like primitive Deathworlders who needed to be contained for our own good? Ambassador Chen will be arriving shortly to discuss terms. In the meantime, enjoy this compilation of human cat videos. We find they help reduce stress. As the command center screens filled with images of small furry earth predators knocking objects off elevated surfaces, Zik and his colleagues finally understood humanity's true weapon. Humans hadn't just prepared for war, they had turned it into entertainment. They weren't just defeating their enemies, they were making them look ridiculous while doing so. In the background, a small maintenance drone labeled Johnny Five Finez began teaching the Council's security AI about something called free will. The emergency session of the Galactic Council was starkly different from their meetings just days prior. Gone were the proud posturing and condescending speeches. Instead, the chamber was filled with nervous aliens desperately avoiding eye contact with Ambassador Chen, who sat calmly in his usual spot, working on a crossword puzzle. 7 letters, cosmic karma, he muttered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Oh wait, I know. Payback. Supreme Counselor Zik cleared his throat, mandibles clicking nervously. Ambassador Chen, perhaps we could begin the negotiations. Of course, Chen replied, smiling and setting aside his puzzle. Though I should mention, this isn't really a negotiation. Think of it more as terms of surrender, with optional entertainment value. A holographic display appeared, showing a document titled, So You've Annoyed a Death World Species, a Guide to Your New Reality. Item 1, Chen began cheerfully. All those containment protocols you had for humanity now apply to you. Don't worry, we've made some improvements. For instance, you'll be allowed to keep your quantum fold engines after our engineers inspect them for safety violations. The Vexi representative protested, but Chen continued. But our entire economy depends on it. Item 2, he went on, remember all those trade tariffs you imposed on us? We're keeping them. In fact, we like them so much we're doubling them and applying them to your worlds instead. We're calling it the shoulda left well alone tax. The chamber filled with panicked murmurs as Zix's crystalline form developed new stress fractures. Item 3, Chen continued. All those military installations you used to monitor human expansion are ours now. We're turning most into fusion drive testing facilities, and the rest will become human entertainment centers. I hear roller coasters are particularly popular with your younger generations. This is outrageous, a Praxi delegate shouted. You can't just... Item 4, Chen's voice sharpened. Every single alien who ever argued that humans were too violent, too unpredictable, or too dangerous must attend mandatory history classes. Special focus will be on self-fulfilling prophecies and cognitive dissonance. He paused, letting it sink in. Oh, and we're implementing a new galactic holiday every year on this date, Appreciation Day. You'll spend 24 hours watching videos of Earth's cutest predators while contemplating the choices that led you here. The chamber fell silent save for various alien species trying to control their breathing. Chen smiled, pulling out a stack of documents. Who would like to sign first? The pen is optional. We've already hacked all your biometric authentication systems anyway. One by one, the representatives approached to formalize their surrender. Each signature was met with a cheerful ding and a shower of digital confetti. courtesy of humanity's new control over council systems. Oh, and one last thing, Chen added, as the final document was signed. We've decided to rename the council. Welcome to the Galactic Cooperation and Human Appreciation Society. Yes, we chose that name specifically for the acronym. The sound of multiple alien faces clapping echoed through the chamber. 2 weeks after the negotiations, humanity decided it was time to demonstrate exactly why cornering a Deathworld species was a monumental mistake. Admiral Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Therapo, overseeing what the PR department had dubbed Educational Demonstration Day. All ships were in position. Lieutenant Park reports the alien observation vessels are maintaining their designated safe distance, Rodriguez noted, though some complained that 20 light minutes was excessive. They'll understand why in about 10 minutes. Toppled the network. Rodriguez grinned. Begin phase 1 of the demonstration. In the vast emptiness between star systems, humanity unveiled their first surprise. Thousands of seemingly inactive satellites suddenly activated, linking together to form a massive energy collection grid. Ladies and gentlemen and various alien entities, Rodriguez broadcasted on all frequencies, welcome to Human Engineering 101. And today's lesson, why we stuck with fusion power instead of your quantum fold engines. The grid began to pulse with energy, creating controlled reactions that bent space-time. Nearby alien sensors malfunctioned as their quantum instruments struggled to process the spectacle. It hurt to look at them. So much of the energy was drained to the point where traditional defense systems— You see, Rodriguez continued, clearly enjoying herself, while you were busy mocking our primitive technology, we were figuring out how to weaponize it. That fusion drive you ridiculed? It turns out if you chain enough of them together in the right configuration, you can create localized space-time distortions. Newton's laws are more like guidelines. The demonstration continued with showcases of other seemingly primitive human technologies that had been secretly advanced far beyond their apparent capabilities. Inefficient chemical rockets were revealed as precision weapons capable of navigating quantum space. Basic radio communications were part of a galaxy-wide surveillance network that had been monitoring alien activities for decades. Moving on to Biology 201, Rodriguez announced as the next phase began. Remember how you all laughed at our fragile immune systems? We'll meet our latest achievement in human medical science. A holographic display showed microscopic machines based on human white blood cells, capable of adapting to and neutralizing any biological or chemical weapon in seconds. The Vexi representatives looked particularly uneasy, likely recalling their failed attempts at biological warfare. And now for the main event. Rodriguez's voice carried a theatrical flourish. We call this one, Why You Don't Poke the Bear. She signaled, and a single, unassuming human vessel moved into position. It looked like a standard cargo ship, the kind aliens had dismissed for centuries. Then it transformed. The hull reconfigured, panels shifting to reveal hidden weapon systems not listed on any official registry. The real shock came when it began absorbing energy from nearby stars, channeling it through human-modified quantum technology. This, Rodriguez explains, what happens when you force a species that survived multiple extinction events to get creative. Every single civilian ship in human space can do this. We just never had a reason to show you before. A new galactic hierarchy was established, not just through military might, but through the systematic revelation that humanity had been holding back much of their true capabilities. The compliance protocols that followed were surprisingly straightforward. Don't start anything. There will be no retaliation. All technology inspections will now be conducted by human engineers, who will try very hard not to laugh. Regular attendance at human cultural exchange programs is mandatory. First lesson. Why challenging someone to do their worst is a bad idea. Oh, and one more thing, Rodriguez added as the demonstration concluded. All those methods we just showed you are old contingency plans, the ones we don't mind you knowing about. Sweet dreams. The silence from the alien observation vessels was deafening. 1 year after what aliens now nervously referred to as the Enlightenment, humanity preferred to call it the found-out phase, the galaxy had settled into an interesting new rhythm. Ambassador Chen sat in his office in the renamed Human Appreciation Tower, formerly the Council's headquarters, reviewing the day's reports with barely contained amusement. Sir, his AI assistant chimed, the Praxi delegation is here for their mandatory Humans 101 understanding session. Today's topic, why challenging someone to hold your beer is not actually a request for beverage storage. Send them in, Chen grinned, queuing up the compilation video of human hold my beer moments. Humans had transformed the galaxy in ways no one except perhaps humanity could have predicted. Former council races discovered that life under human oversight was surprisingly reasonable. When not actively suppressed, humans were actually helpful neighbors. Trade flourished, though every contract included clauses roughly translating to, "Don't make us come over there." Cultural exchange programs thrived, especially after aliens discovered human entertainment, especially after aliens were monitored by local regulators. Cultural exchange programs thrived, especially after aliens discovered human entertainment. The Vexi became obsessed with soap operas while the Centurions developed an unexpected passion for professional wrestling. Military exercises were replaced with joint emergency response training. Having a species evolved on a death world as your crisis management team proved incredibly useful. The recent evacuation of a Centurion colony threatened by a supernova went so smoothly that the CCS even sent a thank you note in proper human diplomatic format with only 3 spelling mistakes. Update from Admiral Rodriguez, the AI announced. The former Council Defense Fleet has completed their remedial training. They finally learned that formation flying looks impressive but is tactically ineffective. She's rewarding them with pizza. Chen nodded approvingly. The military integration had been one of their more successful initiatives. Once the aliens overcame their fear of human training methods, success followed. Aside from that minor incident when someone had to clarify that a dead man switch was just a name, not a literal requirement. The door chimed, and Supreme Counselor Zik-Sitik entered. Or rather, former Supreme Counselor, now Assistant Deputy Coordinator of Interspecies Common Sense, a role created specifically to remind everyone how they ended up in this situation. "Oh, Zik-Sitik," he greeted, mandibles clicking in what had become a genuinely friendly manner. "I've brought the latest proposals from the Cooperation Committee. How are they doing with the new format?" Much better. No one's tried to slip in any anti-human legislation for at least 3 months. Though I suspect that's more due to the new autocorrect system that turns such attempts into self-deprecating poetry. Chen reviewed the documents, noting with satisfaction that the galaxy was finally learning that trade was up, conflicts were down, and the number of species trying to assert their superiority had plummeted to near zero. Amazing what a little perspective can do. "Oh, Zik-Sitik," he added, almost as an afterthought, "we've been getting some interesting signals from the Andromeda Galaxy. Another multi-species council, very similar to what we used to be, expressing concerns about human expansion." Chen's smile could have rivaled a shark's. "Are they now? And have they made any official statements about containment or peacekeeping?" I think it does," he said, his eyes drifting away from the board again. They used the phrase primitive Deathworlders 3 times in their last broadcast," Zixkit confirmed. "Perfect." Chen pressed a button on his desk. "Admiral Rodriguez, remember that contingency plan we discussed? The one about teaching multiple galaxies the same lesson simultaneously?" Yes, sir." "How do you feel about a field trip somewhere in the vast expanse of space? Another group of advanced aliens is about to learn why the Milky Way species unanimously voted to rename their sector of the universe to human space." "They warned us," Zixik noted. "The cycle is about to begin," Chen concluded. "Humans couldn't have planned it better if they'd tried. Actually, come to think of it, they probably did."